your team all ready to start?
You ready, guys? Yes, ma'am.
Shall we start?
Ready to go.
Well, good morning, everybody. I think we all know each other. My name is, for the house of the door, my name is Kate Mentick, and I sort of help organise this event. And it's the 8th debate this evening, but in the preliminary series, as I probably don't need to tell you. In the 7th series, VIC versus Montessori. And thanks very much, first of all, to VIC for the very warm welcome and the excellent coffee. Much appreciated on a cold morning. And welcome to Chris Cunningham and your wonderful team from Montessori. Welcome. The Rotarians here today are, Ron and Harry in charge of the camera and Informatica, and Vivian, who's the secretary of all of this organisation. What would we do without her? Judges. Our lead judge today is Sarah Collett. Welcome, Sarah. David Tittle, so many years of practice, and Alison Todd as well. Welcome. The motion today, which I don't need to remind you, but for the audience, the motion today is the benefits of space exploration do not justify the cost. The benefits of space exploration do not justify the cost. And BIC will be voting for the motion, and Montessori will be debating against the motion. As always on these events, I'd like to thank our sponsors, without whom this would not be possible, which are Palmer Pictures, as for many years, Clínica Juaneta, Ibex Insurance Company, and of course the Ticket Travel Agency. So without more ado, I put you off to our thank you for today, Julie Brogan.
We have a paper.
$4.1 billion. That's how much it would cost to launch a single rocket, Orion, into space. Not just that, this rocket is part of a completely expendable system. So, in other words, it's a single-use rocket costing $4.1 billion. Oh, and did I mention the whole campaign around this rocket cost $93 billion. Money is just one of the many costs of space exploration that cannot be justified by the minute amount of benefits. Good morning, ladies, gentlemen, esteemed judges, and members of the opposing team. Today, my team made of Imogen and Manuel and I will be arguing for the motion that the benefits of space exploration absolutely do not justify the costs. Now, my team is not denying that there are benefits to space exploration. In fact, we're well aware that space exploration has produced new technologies, and such as cochlear implants, filtered water, and phone cameras. All of which were made by scientists who could have easily made these technologies in a lab without the need for space exploration. However, some may argue that the investment into space exploration has allowed us to make many scientific changes, such as investigating the science around global warming. This is true. NASA, in 1960, released its first weather satellite, TIROS, into space. That was 80 years ago. We still have not seen any significant changes or action being taken since the discovery. And, in fact, all 10 of the hottest years on record have been in the last century. We are 22 years into the century. These benefits certainly are not worth the billions of dollars that are invested into space exploration, when this huge sum of money should be invested into the survival of planet Earth. Our planet is deteriorating in front of our eyes. Ice caps are melting, deserts are forming, and ecosystems are dying. Yet still, our world leaders are not acting enough. Joe Biden's budget proposal for 2021 called for $50 billion to be invested into the climate crisis. But the US government also invested $54 billion into space exploration. If that was cut, that would leave $104 billion to be invested into the climate crisis. And with this sum of money, 5,200,000 houses in the US could be provided with solar-powered energy. And in fact, now would be prime time to invest, as the cost for solar panels has fallen 99% since 1977. This graph shows how much the world needs to be investing each year into climate mitigation activities to stay under the 1.5 degree limit, above pre-industrial temperatures. The world needs to be spending $1.6 to $3.8 trillion each year to stay under this limit.
Point of information.
Yeah, accepted.
You said that a lot of things are happening because of global warming. How is NASA exploration affecting that?
As I mentioned before, we are investing billions of dollars into space exploration, which should be invested into climate change. So, based on 2019 data, we need another $1 trillion a year to get into the range of climate safety. And currently, $87 billion is taken up by space exploration, which is 10% of that 1 trillion gap. It would take just $60 billion to save the Great Barrier Reef, and the whole of the Amazon rainforest could be totally reforested and conserved for just 1.7 to 2.8 billion. Restoring both of these carbon sinks would reduce the human added greenhouse effect that we have on our planet, and leave $15 billion to be invested into other issues. Space exploration money needs to be put to better use than just aimlessly blasting metal tubes into the atmosphere. We're never going to find planet B, so let's just save our planet A. Thank you very much.
Christina.
Esteemed judges and guests, I'd like you to imagine a world without portable phones, a world without portable computers. Imagine still working with those huge machines we see in museums. Imagine having to find our way around with huge city maps. That sounds hard, right? Nowadays, we have portable computers, portable phones, and GPS. Do you know who made them? As surprising as it is, it was NASA. Yes, you heard me right. NASA. And NASA also made a lot more surprising creations that we use on a daily basis, such as phone cameras, scar-twisted lenses, shock absorbers for buildings, solar panels, water filtration, better vehicle tires, adjustable smoke detectors, air purifiers, infrared thermometers, answers in airplanes, and much, much more. Some of these inventions even help our world. Without NASA or space exploration, we wouldn't be living like this, without this comfort. All the items I have listed before were created specifically for space exploration to help the... Tell me, how many of you used LED lights? And again, they were created by NASA. Shocking, right? It's incredible how much of these items we use every day were created by NASA for space exploration. Imagine how many more amazing creations are yet to come. For example, going to the gym and using something like a treadmill, it has become a normal part of our usual routine. But workout machines were created for astronauts to keep physical shape in space. We wouldn't have so easy without NASA, would we? My name is Christina, and I strongly disagree with today's motions, and so do my colleagues, Charlotte and Nicole. Later, Charlotte will tell us about how our instincts are to explore, and that helps us find many more things, and Nicole will tell us about how space exploration actually brings safety to our planet. The proposition have said that we don't do anything for our planet, and that we're just leaving it to die. But, for instance, we are working on it. We're planting forests, cleaning oceans, recycling, working on pollution, global warming, and everything else. Just nothing is fixed instantly. It takes time.
Information.
Yeah.
Could you argue that all the things that we're doing for our planet could be enhanced much more if we stopped spending in space exploration and invested it into climate mitigation activities?
We actually only use 4% of the money that is invested into space exploration. So we actually have, since, as you mentioned before, it's like around $4 billion for one rocket. We actually have a lot of money left that we can invest into the planting forests and everything else. It's just not the lack of money, it's the lack of will. so we don't really have the walls to do it. And we also explore the space. We wouldn't know as much as we know today if we didn't explore. No, we wouldn't. Space exploration isn't only responsible for finding new galaxies millions of light years away. It's also responsible for important research in medicine, biology, and physics. We discovered things such as the magnetosphere, the atmosphere, and geological evolutions of other planets. All that thanks to space exploration. Science experiments performed on astronauts in space help our understanding of medical conditions on Earth. This research has produced findings that help people that are suffering from cardiovascular disorders, type 2 diabetes, and osteoporosis. We only discovered about 4% of space. We're going to find much more useful information that can maybe once save our lives. Esteemed judges, I have clearly shown you here that the benefits of space exploration justify its cost. And that's why I urge you to vote against today's motion. Thank you.
Is space exploration actually beneficial, or is it just a waste of our money? Space exploration has been seen as a way to escape the doom Earth faces because of climate change. And because of this, countries have taken space exploration to a new level, the colonization of planets such as Mars. This seems like a great idea, right? Because by 2050, some places in the world, such as Philippines, Fiji, and Haiti, will not be able to live in. However, the idea is more difficult than it sounds like. It is expected that NASA will spend over $50 billion on the development of the Mars project in the next 5 years, which is double the annual budget from NASA. That's a huge amount of money invested in a planet that no human has ever stepped in, and it's also 86,000 million kilometers away from Earth. So why not just invest it to save our planet and solve climate change? Despite this massive spending on this project, it seems like a good idea, no? I mean, Mars is really similar to planet. Yeah.
You just said that maybe Mars is not be able to live in, we as humans, but all of us were like, the Earth is new, like, it's not even that, it's been 5 billion years since we've lived in this Earth, so why can't we start another life on Mars?
Because Mars is, as I'm going to mention later on my speech, it's unable to live in, and I'm going to give some facts, and by now Earth is being, basically, will not be able to live in by 2050. Despite this massive spending on this project, it seems like a good idea, no? I mean, Mars is really similar to planet Earth. Well, not exactly. Air on Mars is only 0.13% oxygen, compared to the 21% in Earth. And most of Mars' atmosphere is carbon dioxide, which is really harmful for humans. The planet is also quite cold, being 50 million kilometers away from Earth. So, in conclusion, Mars is practically impossible to live in, meaning that if we did manage to meet the target of getting by Mars by 2029, as predicted by Elon Musk, there would be massive challenges to overcome, such as not having enough oxygen, and that will take decades to solve. So why not just invest it to save our planet and slow down climate change? Planet Earth is the most valuable planet in our solar system, as it's the only planet that's able to provide us with food and natural resources, and the most important, we are able to live in. Being the only planet in the universe confirmed to host life, the huge numbers of money spent on space exploration that used in projects such as Mars is complete waste of money and resources that could be used to slow down climate change, as Eva has also mentioned. The next planet that's similar to Earth is Kepler 452b, which is 1,402 light years away from Earth. That would take us around 30 million years to travel there, and it's completely unreachable and utterly pointless mission to go with. Many scientists say predict that by 2030, climate change will be irreversible, with millions of tons of plastic being thrown each year into our oceans, 1 million species facing extinction, and a massive refugee crisis of up to 200 million people that is predicted to happen by 2050. Due to storms and droughts caused by climate change, a cut in spending on space exploration is needed so we could use the money to prevent these future problems that could have awful consequences. In conclusion, the space exploration is not only not justifying the cost, it's not even benefiting us either. It's just being spent on unrealistic projects that won't be able to reach their targets. Space exploration is giving wrong mentality to the world. If you have a room that's dirty, you don't move to another room, right? You clean your room.
Esteemed judges and guests, we, the opposition, strongly disagree with today's motion. The benefits of space exploration do not justify the cost. Nearly all successful civilizations have been willing to explore. In exploring, the dangers of surrounding areas may be identified and prepared for. Humans have always been curious to find hidden mysteries of the universe that lie far beyond our Earth. How is the Earth formed? Is there life outside planet Earth? How big is the universe? All these and many more questions are still unanswered, and we will only find answers by exploring space. Quoting NASA, human space exploration helps to address fundamental questions about our place in the universe and the history of our solar system. Through addressing the challenges related to human space exploration, we expand technology, create new industries, and help create a peaceful connection with other nations. Even though the protection of our planet is vital, having a plan B, or should I say planet B, is always a safer option when looking at the life of nearly 8 billion people. So far, no planet resembling our planet or in traveling distance has been found yet. However, space exploration could help us discover a planet that could save generations in case of overpopulation, asteroids, or pollution. Overpopulation could be an existential threat for all mankind. The population growth is about 0.84% per year. That's nearly 1% every single year. So, overpopulation could be an existential threat.
Point of information. Could you not argue that it would be much easier to just deal with overpopulation on planet Earth rather than investing billions of dollars and equipment and resources into going into space?
Yes, but overpopulation is quite a hard one to deal with because it's basically just like people reproducing basically. And of course, I understand your point to create like new homes and stuff. But as Christina mentioned before, we only use 4% of like all the 4% on space exploration and 20% on healthcare, and we could use all the rest of our economies on. Yes, we must try to do something at all to help Earth at all costs. But should we also try and discover a twin planet that might be somewhere out there for the safety of people, for your future posterity? In kindergarten, we all knew that child who dreamt of becoming an astronaut. They would know everything about space and dreamt of reaching the stars when they were older. 1 in 5 kindergartners dream of being an astronaut when they grow up. Space exploration fuels children's curiosity and imagination. Role models like astronaut inspire students to dream and consequently achieve their goals. Yet, with the advancement of space technology, it would be useful to use and explore the vast potential of the solar system and other planets. With hard work and conviction, what starts as a dream becomes reality. What we dream today about the potential, life-saving discoveries of space exploration could one day be achieved by future generations. If we fail to continue taking advantage of these possibilities, we may no longer have the chance to do so in the future. The reasons to continue exploring the universe are numerous, but we must continue exploring for the very reason that human beings are, have, and always will be explorers. That is why human beings have reached the stars. From the earliest time of our existence, we have succeeded in learning about the world around us. This led to the creation of civilizations that flourished and developed into what we are today. The exploration of the universe offers the chance for us to discover new worlds, open new horizons, and improve life on Earth through technologies. Perhaps the most advantageous of all is that it will unite us to work together for a common purpose, regardless of our differences. Humans are meant to do great things together. We cannot stop exploring, and we must not. Otherwise, we have deprived ourselves of the essential part of being human. There's no denying that there are many important issues facing humanity that need fixing. But to deal with those problems doesn't mean we have to stop looking up, stop exploring, and stop making discoveries. Thank you.
At some point, everything's going to go south. You're going to say, this is it. This is how I end. Now you can either accept that, or you can get to work. Mark Bottom. Today we are discussing whether space travel is worth the cost. But the cost doesn't just describe money. It describes the human lives and their well-being that we have had to sacrifice to get where we are now. Space is used by countries to prove their might. This can be seen during the Cold War, which America and the Soviet Union were leaders of. A race to see who could put the first man on the moon, space being used as a chess piece, and reaching it just another box to tick. And the competition that fueled the space race still remains today, with spending on space being a measure of a country's power. The US spent $54 billion on space in 2021, with China racing to surpass them, spending $10.3 billion, and this number is only set to rise. This is but another race in which space is causing conflict to take place. The danger of space and the competition it creates can be seen in 1986 and the Space Shuttle Challenger, which broke up 73 seconds after launch, killing all 7 astronauts inside, one of those being a teacher. A further investigation found that NASA knew there was a risk to this launch, but continued with it anyway. The rivalry caused by space is costing human lives, and not because of freak accidents, but because of choices fueled by competition.
Point of information. Could you argue that we do lose lives traveling to space, but while exploring something like the ocean, since we're going deep and there's a lot of pressure, people also die while exploring it, and we also die exploring our Earth, so it's basically...
Yes, but it is the utter ignorance of a potential risk that could cost human lives just to be the first to do something. It's not about the risk that happens, it's the admittance that there was a risk and then continuing anyway, therefore costing human lives. Thank you. Every time a rocket is launched, damage is done to the ozone layer. And with the move towards space tourism coming along faster in the current years, the damage being done can only grow. Without the ozone layer, life on Earth ceases to exist. So why do we continue to fund sectors that have a harmful effect on the one thing keeping us alive? By traveling into space as often as we do, we are shortening the time we have on this planet. To continue to explore space without an escape plan for the entirety of humanity, we are all in all, condemning humans, people, to die. Whether it's the poor in our society today or our sons and daughters in the future. Something needs to give, and shouldn't that thing be something that costs us billions in money and has never directly benefited humanity?
Point of information.
Yeah.
For example, I think we could argue that before people went to space, lots of people thought the Earth was flat, right? But then when we got pictures of like the outer Earth, we got to see what's round, and that has made a massive. It's a massive step into like realizing like our Earth and how our Earth is formed, and like our Earth in general.
But you could also argue that through traveling across the world and discovering new continents in the Earth, people discovered that the Earth was not flat because they didn't fall off the edge when they got to America. Thank you. Not only is space travel a source of conflict, but it's also a waste of resources. We spend money on space, looking to the stars. We spend money on space, looking to the stars, so much that we forget to just look at our own front door. Every day, people face homelessness and food insecurity. In America, the biggest spender on space, it would cost them just $15 billion to end homelessness, and only $25 billion to end food insecurity for every single person in the US. Now this seems like a lot of money until you take into account that just this year alone, the US spent $30.62 billion on space travel. How is this acceptable? How can we as a world believe that it is okay to leave some of the most vulnerable to suffer whilst we chase the stars to fulfill our pride? Everyone talks about wanting to do the right thing, help the powerless of society, lift them up from the current squalor they are forced to live in, because it's not right that anyone should have to live that way. Yet when you look at what is prioritized, you see that we leave them to rot, preferring to spend our money on the shiny future we see in space. So I must ask you,
Esteemed judges and guests, we, the opposition, strongly disagree with today's motion, which is the benefits of space exploration do not justify the cost. You may be thinking that exploring space is not worth it, that it is not going to benefit us as humans, that it is a waste of money. You may be asking yourself, why should we spend all this money on rockets and NASA operations when there are other things happening in our world? Well, today, esteemed judges, I'm going to show you why space exploration does justify the cost. Dollars are spent exploring, creating jobs, jump-start businesses, and grow the economy. NASA's innovation improve daily life, advance medical research, support disaster responses, etc. We humans are the most curious animals. Experts have proven that humans are one of the most curious creatures alive. You cannot stop a human from exploring, discovering, questioning. 93% of kids in the world have been interested in exploring the outside world. Why do you think this is it? Do you think this is just a coincidence that 93% of children agree with going to space? No, of course not. Humans are curious and we cannot help it. We are not just curious, we are scared. Our world is going to extinct and we surely need a plan B. Earth has been around for 5 billion years. Scientists have agreed that Earth has 1 billion years left. 1 billion years, that's nothing compared to how many other years we could live. We need a plan B now. We need to discover what is in the outside world. This is why we are spending money in space. Not because we want to, but because we need to. If we don't investigate or explore, even discover, our future generations will not have the life we have had. They will not be as fortunate. This is why we have to know what is in the outer space.
Point of preparation. Now that we have a lot of innovations, and there's, as you said, millions of years of Earth, don't you think we should take a bit of time of space exploration and focus on trying to solve a problem we have in space? Because if we don't, in space and in Earth, to solve climate change, because if not, by 2050 we'll be unhappy.
I personally think we've been decades trying to save the Earth, and I think it's too late. This is why we need to search plan B, and why we need to focus on the future of our generations. It is not just plan B, why we need to start discovering and investigating. We also need it for our own safety. NASA's DART spacecraft successfully slammed into a distant asteroid at a hypersonic speed on Monday, 26th of September 2022. In the world's first test of planetary defense system, designed to prevent a potential doomsday meteorite colliding with Earth, NASA has proven. We need these new inventions and these new ideas. Are you really saying that it's not worth it spending money on NASA, who, as I have shown you, helps us and saves us, is better than saving money for what? This DART has saved the life of 7.999 billion humans, 8.7 billion animals, 334,000 plants. Imagine how many more DARTs we could make, how many more lives we could save. We, STEAM judges, need these materials, inventions, these discoveries and equipments, this life-saving equipment. Judges, guests, proposition. I have proven to you that we are indeed spending the money as we should. I have clearly proved that space exploration does justify the cost. Thank you.
Okay, James, you've got 2 minutes to forward.
This is the one that's done.
So can we have a speaker from Nottingham?
Esteemed judges, we, the opposition, have shown you that space exploration justifies the cost. The proposition has said that we spend too much money on space exploration, but as we mentioned before, we only spend 4% of the money on space. Space exploration isn't about leaving the Earth behind, the world behind. It's about improving our understanding of the universe and how we can help to heal the Earth. I'm not denying that it would be very helpful to have a plan B, because if our plan with the Earth fails, we will always have a plan B, but space exploration also helps us to heal our Earth by discovering new things. Thank you.
A main point from the other team was that curiosity is why we need to explore space. It's a huge drive. But my question to you is, can't we just explore the ocean? As we know that under 10% of the ocean has been explored. So there's so much more for us to understand and learn from that, but do we really necessarily need to go to space? I personally don't think so. You mentioned that not a lot of money is going to space, but where is that money going? Because from where I stand, it doesn't look to be going into anywhere that can improve society. And you mentioned that technologies are invented by scientists from NASA and everything, but at such an extreme cost. Couldn't those technologies be invented by scientists in laboratories for much cheaper? And the second speaker mentioned that space is causing peace and negotiations between countries, but as we saw in my speech, not necessarily. We can see in the Cold War that it was an extreme amount of tension between that. Now I'd like to finish you with the question I was trying to ask before. Are you still willing to pay the price of space travel if the cost is the poorest and most vulnerable of our society? If our success will cause the downfall of others? Thank you.
That was put in China.
Can I ask, are you debating what you believe in?
We're mixed.
We're mixed.
Yeah.
I was more than against.
I believe that honestly. Both sides have their
You're mixed as well.
It was a good debate. Really good debate for the motion, actually. We could have argued both, couldn't we, last week? We were like, which one do we go for? So it's a good motion, actually, for both sides.
I have a question, if I may. Sorry. Rank. I've just called rank.
Yeah.
We talked about, you all talked about the amount of money spent. Can any of you name some of the things that came out of the space race that you use every day at home?
They did.
Oh, they did already, didn't I? I missed that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
Sorry, you've never heard of Teflon then?
You know Teflon?
You've heard of Teflon?
Yeah.
Non-stick frying
On your frying pan.
I didn't know, I'm sorry,
It causes food not to stick. Gives you cancer, but...
That's a question for both of your parties. Is, sorry, what I'm curious about this debate, what is the effect on you on you? Like, you could have a discussion, but I missed what it's doing for you, for your generation.
Well, I'm strongly for not going to space because I'm a huge environmentalist and just think that everything that we're doing here on Earth, like we're having a COP27 conference in Egypt this week. Absolutely nothing has come out of it so far. We're a week into it. Nothing. Just talks. Why aren't we implementing changes, and why are we still going, oh, there's a nice moon over there, we need to spend the money here?
Yeah.
Okay, can I ask a follow-up question?
No. He's been asking.
Sorry.
So when you said that the
You're a
population
hard-task
rising is a point against space exploration, as our population is going to continue to rise. However, that's actually not true at all, because the only reason why our population has risen over the past century is because people are dying less and they're living older, more healthy lives, and they're living to ages like 70, whereas before people would die at a very young age due to the infrastructure not being there. So eventually, around the 9 or 10 billion mark of our human population, we're actually going to stop expanding the population, and at that point, we've reached the total human population for the Earth, and it wouldn't be necessary to go to space to have our people live on other planets, because that would cost way more money than it would take just to make our own planet safe.
I mean, I think we're spending a lot of money, like, us as humans. We waste a lot of money we shouldn't for things that aren't necessary. But we cannot prevent humans from production, because that's something that it happens.
No, but what I just said is that you're not going to have to worry about it, because it's going to even out at a very certain point in the next 10 years.
Yeah, but until it peaks out, it's going to increase maybe quite a lot.
But not enough to the point where it's going to be inhabitable for the Earth.
Some countries already, they're not fitting their population in their country, which is really...
Yesterday I was reading a paper about this, about population. I read that by 2030, the global population would be like 10 billion.
That still is enough for our planet. It would take so much money for us to get people to go and live on another planet that's actually habitable. Then you have to think about the cost it would take for it to make it habitable, for example, oxygen and temperature and environment in general. And would it really be safe to take 1 billion people and move on to a planet without oxygen? How much money would you spend for infrastructure? Like, you have to think about that.
Yeah, but like now there's 7 billion. I said 8. Yeah, almost 8 billion. And we're already damaging the world a lot. So if we get to 10 billion, imagine how much we could damage this world.
But are you aware that pretty much every single thing that has to do with negative impacts on the world has been decreasing significantly due to advancements in technology and over social issues and stuff? The main problem is with the main problem is our environmental issues, which are not.
Outside, and give someone else a chance to.
Thank you.
I know this might seem like I'm on the wrong side here, but do you really think that if we put an extra $50 billion into saving the planet, it's going to save the planet?
Well, because we spend roughly $87 billion on space exploration every single year, that's just like the big ones. That's like USA, UK, China. That's not even like smaller ones that may also be contributing. So because we spend that, as I said before, it's 10% of the 1 trillion gap that would lead us to climate safety. That is a significant amount, because it's 10%, and we need every single little penny that we can to be invested into the survival of our planet, because it's getting serious now.
I mean, that I do understand, but you do realise that there are thousands of charities that support climate change, and there are billions of dollars being donated to these charities that are helping the planet. But don't you think that it might just be better just to open more charities or fuel these instead of just cutting out space exploration, which quite literally makes our planet today?
Yes, but where are you finding this money for the other charities from?
Other
We're
people.
finding a solution to the source by cutting off something
That's
that,
right.
although it's not a major part of the climate damage, it still contributes. So by cutting off a great amount of funding and stopping that damage to the ozone layer and the climate, you're sourcing and reducing the problem.
May I ask a question? Again, listen up. There's a price for being the president. That's my question. A couple of you mentioned climate change on Deputy, so you mentioned COP, and I'll come to that in a second. Do you honestly, or I want to get a gauge from you, what you really believe, I think it was you said you thought it was too late to save the planet from climate change.
What?
In one of your presentations, you said you thought it was too late to save the planet from climate change. Was you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you genuinely believe that?
It depends on.
And not just you, I think I'd like to hear from all of you.
It depends on the problem, because for example, I do think it's too late to stop pollution like plastic and everything. But for example, poverty, maybe it's not that late, because we do spend billions of dollars in things that are unnecessary, and we can spend that money on poverty.
Okay.
So it depends on the problem.
Okay, and a follow-up question is, you mentioned the COP conference. I read yesterday that there was nearly 500 private jets landed in Egypt to bring attendees to the COP conference.
Don't even get me
So, are we not just creating a bigger problem by having a conference?
Yes. There's this wonderful thing, right? There's this wonderful thing called Zoom.
Yeah.
You can actually have hundreds of people on the same conference. I mean, who knew? Like,
Really want to get us started. We thought about this all day yesterday, all day.
Thank you.
As a follow-up question from your first question, you have all your own beliefs. What is your first step to accomplish your belief?
Okay, I'll take this one. I'm going to get myself into politics. I'm going to go down the environmental politics route and make some sort of change because it is necessary. We need to make some changes now. We've not got long. It is going to be irreversible. And if no one else is going to do it, if no one who's at the top is going to do it, I'm going to make my way to the top and do it myself.
I'll look out for
Did anybody look into the idea of the sun? Our sun is going to die. And therefore, what do we do? We have to find another planet.
I had a little look into it, but I think what's more likely to happen before the sun dies is that the sun will overheat our planet and cause it to burn up and die. But that's 50 billion years away or something, like it's a long while away, so...
It is, but we have to think of it.
We do have to think about it,
it'll
but I
take
think...
probably 50 billion years to find another planet to live
Yes, but then again, if we don't stop the way we are travelling into space now, we soon won't be able to leave the planet because of all the space junk surrounding Earth. So I think taking some time out right now and just like working out how to travel into space better is probably
on. Do you think people like Elon Musk are developing these new rockets that can be reused, at least?
Yeah.
Is he, if we're going to do it?
If we're going to do it, we have to have reusable
we
rockets
have to do it that
and
way.
clear up the space junk.
We had one land a couple of days ago that's been circling the Earth for over 2 years. Well, no, but it's about, it was a spaceship that the US put up, the US military put up. It looks very much like the space shuttle, solar powered, and it flew for over 2 years. And it didn't come down, they brought it down and landed it at Andrews. So they have that technology now to get up and down again.
Yeah, that's good to know. And also, I mean, to be fair, space has funded loads of issues with like solar panels, for example. So NASA, the International Space Station has an array of 8 solar panels, and each of them are 35 meters long, and they power all the equipment and humans on board. So that's like, I'm glad they're not, bringing oil up into space. Like, it's like there is like benefits to space exploration. I just don't think like we can stop now. Like we've got an international space station that's pretty big. I think we need to stop.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you think it's political will more than anything? Because I'm very proud that you said you want to go into politics. I used to teach Ava many years ago, and I'm a politics teacher, so I love it. I'm very proud, but it gets back to political will. You've just said if no one's going to change it, I'm going to work my way to the top, okay? Like, do you know how much the US military budget is per year? 600 billion. None of you talked about that. That the 80 billion for space exploration is a drop in the ocean. You know, you did, but the teams in that regard. You know, 86 billion is a drop in the ocean. But 86 billion for space. We've also got 86 billion for the planet. COVID showed us that government suddenly had the magic money tree and were able to splash the cash like that when they needed it. We had money for the banks. We had money for to bail out big corporations. So is it political will? Can we have both? That's my question to everybody. Can we have both? Saving planet and exploration as well?
I think so. I think it is 100% political will, because you saw in the Cold War and everything, because it was a way to like prove how strong and amazing we were. The countries were then willing to invest in space and to do everything. And if it became a measure of the world's power to how carbon neutral they were, I think they'd be able to find the money somewhere and be able to spend it to stop climate change.
Yeah, if we have people with the right mentality at the top, no problem. We haven't got people.
So get rid of all the boomers then, yeah?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Good more.
The young man over there.
I'm a bit like answer to your question. Basically, if you look at why we don't have political will to solve like all the problems in the world, the main answer to it is that if you look at like the roots of our society, it's pretty much based on having the Western countries at the top, and most people in positions of power don't even pretend like the other countries in the other continents even exist, and it's just a matter of who's a human and who's not, and it's incomprehensible to most people to even understand the issues, put money into them, so people aren't going to do it if they don't even understand or they don't even see them as humans. If you look at Ebola, it wasn't like, it was killing hundreds, like thousands of people in Africa, and then we only solved it once it got out of the country and it came to America, so it's like, whose lives matter and whose don't, because I'll tell you, like, for most of the people on this planet, to the West, don't matter, and they don't even exist. So it's just like, that's the thing.
I'm not sure about that. Just, when you get into politics, and I'm going to look for you on TV, a famous person once said you spend $1 billion here, a couple of billion there, and a couple of billion there, and pretty soon you start to talk about some real money. Billions you need to spend trillions to affect
I know,
real
as that
change.
graph shows, it's an insane amount of...
Yeah.
I've got another question. One of the biggest problems that we face with climate change is scarcity in resources, but they haven't mentioned, I don't think it's really come up, that there are trillions, and I mean trillions, of metric tons of rare earth minerals on asteroids, other planets, oil, like trillions of tons of it in outer space that could, I mean, literally revolutionize our planet and inventions and everything. And do you not think that's quite important?
I just want to circle back to the point of climate change, and you mentioned going out into space and getting oil and bringing it back to Earth.
Not just oil, I mean.
Well,
but like
there's
other
no oil in space, it's a fossil fuel, but
But like, if we're going out and like searching for all of these rare, finite resources, we need to find a more reusable way to supply and sustain ourselves. Because even if we go out and we go into space and we grab all those resources, they're going to run out eventually. They've run out here on Earth, they will run out in space. And at some point we're going to have to go, right, we can't just keep taking and taking and pillaging. We're going to have to actually sustain ourselves.
I do completely agree with you, but at the same time, on Earth, I think that there is maybe absolutely like almost nothing compared to outer space, and everything is finite when you truly think about it. The sun will die out in 6 billion years, the Earth will get burned in 1. I think that everything is finite, but we are kind of extending our time in the universe, and I think that we can do that by going into space. And plus, I think you also have to think about how unethical it is to get these rare earth minerals that we like live off of. I mean, cobalt mines are usually the most unethical places in the world, and we use cobalt everywhere, all day, anytime, and it's like filled with underpaid, underage workers. And if we were to go out into space and get them, we wouldn't need any people, really. And the technologies used to reach these asteroids or planets would revolutionize the world as a whole. One of my points when I was talking is that I think, yes, I agree with all this, but I think we should stop for a second, because that takes a lot of time. And it takes some years, obviously. And as I said on my speech, it was by 2030 irreversible climate change. So, for example, Spain spends money on space exploration too, but it says a lot about climate change, but actually doesn't spend that much on climate change. For example, a lot of the population, 70% of the population in Spain live in the cities, and most of the areas in Spain are just nature. Like, they don't live nowhere. And I think those areas could be used for solar panel plants and more renewable energy. And that was my point, that put a pause in space exploration, because it's not benefiting us for now, and because there is more important topics.
I do agree with you. I'm not anti saving the planet. I'm quite for it, as most people in the young generation are. But I do think that space exploration is imperative for our survival and our progression.
It might be in the future, but right now, as of right now, it's not beneficial.
Thank you very much.
I've seen quite a few, well, all of these debates recently. I have to say this was a top debate and a challenging debate downstairs. We might have wondered what we're all doing for all these minutes, but we have the final debate downstairs in the room there. So again, thanks to the BIC for sorting everything out. I would like to ask, first of all, Alison, would you like to say a couple of comments as the judge? Sure. May I move this?
Basically, thank you to both teams. I feel like I've learned so much today from both teams. Your arguments for and against you had statistics to back it up, you had all the facts and figures that we wanted to hear, you really put a lot of work in it, really showed. I particularly like, Christina, your comment on the computers and maps of museums, because that's our era of it. We went around with street maps and had computers, but yeah, I mean, both teams, I like the way you're on the stage, you walked around, you were confident.
Well, yes, I would like to second that, all of that. It was a very thought-provoking, very interesting debate. A lot of hard work went into it from both teams. That was very, very apparent. As Alison said, great use of facts and statistics. It was thought-provoking. I've come away having learned a lot. And we had a difficult time down there deciding, which team was winning, and who. The other thing I want to say, having been at the last Montessori debate, I just want to congratulate you as a school in a tremendous increase in your performance. It was fabulous. It was very, very polished. A lot of work went into it. We can see that. Congratulations. Brilliant. Good job.
Yes, I agree with that. Sam, would you like to come up and make a summary on behalf of the jury, please? Yes. And of course, starting usual with the best debater.
First of all, thank you very much to everybody attending, and thank you teams. Really, the amount of work that you put in is enormous, and it really shows. And to remember what you need to say is just fantastic. And I always think that when you're interrupted with a point of interest, to sort of get back onto your track is so good. Well done, all of you. So the hard work. I think the other thing that comes across is how persuasive you are in your arguments. You're so good at the persuasion, which is what it's all about, winning your audience over with the persuasion. So excellent, excellent. So as Kate said, we've had a very difficult job to decide who is the best debater and which team eventually wins the debate. What we like is when people pause properly, don't go too fast, and all these things that contribute to being the best delivery. And overall, we agreed
that the best debater goes to Ava. And now, the final hurdle. And after much deliberation, we decided that the best team was PLC. Sarah?
Could I ask Chris Cunningham to come forward with your team, and would you like to join me? We have a photograph together, please. Thanks.
Let's go around.
Maybe in front of the people? Yeah? Wonderful. We've got our president of Wiltshire with us. I just joined it. John, would you like to come stand, please?
We know he's the president, don't we?
Didn't hear that.
We know he's the president.
Go get in there.
I think I'm going in.
Yeah.
There we are. Is that us? Yeah? Perfect.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. No, we won't go into this. That's right. So it depends on the points. Definitely.
Yeah, you're definitely going to, we might still go on, so.
It depends on the points. And we will only know.
We lost our first one.
Angel?
It was.
Did Angel say?